Welcome everybody. So we are focusing on Greek forms today. Now if you look at this word, photograph, then you would see that this is a Greek combining form where you have two Greek words coming together and forming a word. And oftentimes when you have Greek forms, it's going to fall into the world of medicine, science, inventions, math. You're going to find them, and this is an invention. So if you invent something, guess what? I would use a Greek word to help you put something together. I just went through this 4 times with Daniel and Paul, and I recommend that you go through this and memorize these as much as you possibly can. At least learn how to spell them and get a basic definition on what they are. Now we're going to go mania means madness or wildness. Micro means small, not able to see with the eye. Now you do have, like, if you think about microeconomics, that's something you can see with your eye, but most of the time if you think about a microscope, you know that you're going to have to look into something and see. You can't see it with your eye. Therm is heat, warm or hot temperature. Photo means light. Now, also, if you think about how the light happens, it's going to be distinguished and taken on to accept. You think about a photograph and you're taking it with the light, you can see it, it's distinguishing everything, and now you're accepting the truth because you can see it in a photograph. Graph means written everywhere. It also means to clip, to scratch. These, now we're going into more depth. We've done this a little bit in the past, and now we're adding some things to it. I added therm in here. I really want my boys to understand what therm means. Heat, warm or hot temperature. Chron means time. Auto means self. Kilo means 1,000. Gram means the same thing as graph, but it is also a weight. Versus, you can say it's in that field, but versus, it could be plants in the bean area. Astro means star, bio means life. Logy, now also you will notice that it can be ology. And if you can remember that it's either or, then you know that you don't have to drop only have one O if you want to say biology or astrology, whichever one, you know that. It can be a collection like a trilogy, and we haven't really talked about that in the past, but you will find this mostly in the field of study. So what are you going to study? You're going to study life, biology. Orthology, you're going to study how to make things right. A pathology, you're going to study the feelings of things. Path means filling, to make a path. So it's meaning to make a road. You're making a way to go. There's lots of paths that you can have. Cardio means heart. I recommend that you get in there and memorize how to spell these words, because when you know these things, and this is just a small portion, but this is a huge part in our language. When you know these things, your status in English will go up. You will have a feel of just understanding the language better, and your status will be better. You're going to understand derived terms. That means you're obtaining something. You're obtaining, when you're seeing these words, you're going to obtain knowledge, and you're going to be able to understand big, huge words. Daniel? You're going to be able to understand that with your derived terms. You're going to produce bigger sentences. You're going to have more knowledge. Okay? You're going to have undue authority because you're understanding this better. You're going to present yourself better because you know your Greek combining forms. You're going to have an extent or degree, things that are more in the science, the medicine, math. This will extend that in leaps and bounds. It'll make your spelling better and your reading much better if you memorize your Greek combining forms. So now, when you can have two Greek combining forms, adding them together, like the word photograph. Those are two completely different words in the Greek world. They're put together and they're making one word because it's one thing. So we've added them together to make the word photograph and put them together. Now, you're combining. Now you're combining them with others, or you can combine them with Latin roots, or you combine them with other suffixes. And so you make sure that you're combining. And if you're going to make your own invention, I would suggest maybe using your Greek combining forms to be able to help somebody understand what your invention actually is. Because you could see how you do that, pathology, autograph, photograph. See how you can just combine them together. Chronology, and they make words and you put them together and you're understanding what it is. Yeah.
Cardiology.
Cardiology. Oh, I love that. The study of the heart. And
thermostat.
Thermostat. You're able to actually understand your words better because you're knowing what the definitions actually are. And you just don't have to know what the item is because you know what it is. Look at this prefix right here. Now we know this prefix is a chameleon, but we also know that it means not, right? But this is not just not, but it also means a part and away. So now that you have it in your mind, you know what this is because we've talked about in our other lessons. Now let's add to it. Now let's remember that it can also be a part. It could also mean away. Okay, add that to your vocabulary. Add that to your mind. What does this mean? Because you can see it in words and you can say, oh yeah, I can see where that is not, but I can also see where it's spread apart. It's also away from somebody. So let's make sure that we can remember that that's what this means. Now, it's really important. Now, I also want you to remember that these are spelling rules. And yeah, you guys are older, we've gone through spelling rules, but it's very important that we repeat this and we understand. You guys, this is a high school class, and I feel high school kids need repetition. Yeah, I know that there's a few of you that are just amazing at spelling, which congratulations to you. And you might not need this besides the one time you got it a while ago, but I do think it's important at this age to do repetition. We have spelling rules. Change the Y to an I. What do you think? We're going to use the word cry. We're going to change the Y to an I and add cried. Now, how about the word stray?
No.
No, because this is a vowel team. So we just do strayed. So make sure that you're understanding that. You have to have a consonant right here to change the Y to an I. Since this is a vowel, we're not changing it. We don't change our vowel teams. Now we have consonant, vowel. Consonant means double the last letter and add a vowel suffix. That is super easy when you have a one-syllable word. Crazy easy. So, and you only have to do vowel suffixes. If you are adding on a consonant suffix, it doesn't matter. So make sure that you know that you just do a vowel suffix. It is much more difficult when you have a multi-syllable word and you have to understand where the accent is. Drop the E and add a vowel suffix. So, come, right? Coming. Drop the E and add on your vowel suffix. I'm going to make a nonsense word. If you're going to add a consonant word right there, when you have a silent E, if you have to add on a consonant, you don't drop the E. This is a nonsense word. It's important to have nonsense words. Well, a nonsense word is a word that doesn't exist, but it helps you learn your spelling words and your spelling rules. Really your spelling rules, and helps you get through your spelling rules. Now, prefixes, you just add on with no spelling rules. You do not have to worry about any spelling rules when you're adding on a prefix. Suffixes, you need to follow spelling rules. So prefixes, remember, pre means before the base word, and then suffixes are after the base word. So you need to make sure you are following these spelling rules when you're adding on your suffixes. Now, I chose some Latin roots right here to here. Now, solve. It ends with an E. Remember, V's can't be at the end, so this E is there to keep the V from being at the end. So right here, you drop the E. It's only there to keep the V from being at the end. So you can drop it and add on a vowel suffix. So, and also, you guys, be really careful. You can't just add on any suffix. Solvis. This isn't a real word. So make sure that you are adding on the correct suffix. Solving, you drop the E and add your vowel suffix. Solveless. See how right here, we don't have to drop the E. You don't drop the E when you're adding on a consonant suffix. Also, fuse, see how we have our E right here, but here, this one is keeping this U long. This one is just here for the V, okay? So that's what that E is doing, and the E here is keeping this long. So you don't want to double anything, you just want to drop it. Okay, and the reason why you drop it is because any vowel can keep another letter long, but a consonant cannot. A consonant keeps it short. Fused, you drop the E and add ED. Fusin, so make sure you're doing the right suffix. This is not a real word. Fusing, you drop the E and add ing. Fuseable, see, you drop it and add. But look at this, we're gonna do a nonsense word. We want to do ment, fusement. Why aren't we going to drop the E?
Because it's a consonant.
Because this is a consonant, and if you drop the E, that would make this a closed syllable and it becomes short and it would say fussment. And we still want it to be U. We still want it to be long. So you need that E there to make it long. So that's why it's really important that you know the rule. You only drop the E if you're adding on a vowel suffix to the word that you are using. Tract, traction, tracted. So see how here you are just keeping the T and you're using the T-I-O-N and using the T together. Only one T in that. But here you're just adding it on. Trackless, you're adding it on. Tracting, you just add it on. See how it's not a consonant vowel consonant? See how it ends in two consonants? If there's two consonants there, you don't even have to worry about it. You just add on your suffixes and it doesn't matter. But you need to make sure that you're adding on the right suffix, because this says tractus. This suffix means a girl. So this is not a real word, because this suffix, you don't add on to something like this. You add it on to anything that means a girl or a woman, okay? And et means anything small, so it doesn't even make sense to add it on to tract. So make sure you're putting your, like a towelette, princess, okay? So this would be onto a noun, and it's making it to be a woman, like a waiter, a waitress. All right, and this suffix is kind of dwindling out in our world, but it's still important for us to know what it means, because you're going to read a lot of literature and it still means that. We still use the word princess. And towelette, this means small, kitchenette, but it wouldn't go on something like this. Quitting, consonant, this U is not considered a vowel in here because it's right next to the Q. It's not considered a vowel. This is part of the Q. So this is a consonant vowel consonant, so it doubles. And you add on your vowel suffix. But look at this. It's a consonant vowel consonant, but you're adding on a consonant. So you don't have to worry about the doubling rule because we're adding on a consonant. The doubling rule only matters when you're adding on a vowel suffix, right? So quitness. This is not a real word. This is a nonsense word. Quittance. But look, vowel suffix, so it needs to be doubled. These small words like this, And these are Latin roots. So once you add on your prefix, it could change. Maybe. Depends on how it depends on how it is, if it needs to be doubled or not. Most likely, if it is your Latin root, this will end and you're going to make sure it's doubled. If it's Latin, make sure you're doubling something like that. Make sure you're doubling it. Cessible. Now look, cess, right here, these Latin roots can stand alone, but these can't. So you have to have prefixes, most of the time prefixes to make the real word, and then you can add on your suffixes. Okay? So look, this is vowel, consonant, consonant. So you're not going to need to really follow any spelling rules. It doesn't have an E, it doesn't have a Y, and it's not a consonant, vowel, consonant. So you can just add them on. Look at that. Spell your word, session, concession, excessive, succeed. Okay? There's your root. You just add them on. Here's your root, here's your root, here's your root, here's your root. Repelling. Here, consonant, vowel, consonant. Make sure it's doubled before you add on your suffix. This is a nonsense word. Compellment. Now, look at this word. Focus. I want you guys to focus on learning your Greek combining forms. Focus, you guys. It is so important that you focus and learn this stuff. It's going to help you so much in your life. Focus is not, they actually really don't know where this word derived from, where the meaning is. And so if you can tell, oh, I know that these are Latin, so I really need to say, if you are doubling, you need to make sure, if you're understanding that it's Latin, it's going to be the accented syllable most likely, and you double it. But here, this is where people get confused on doubling. This is not really Latin. They don't know where it came from. Your accent is right here. And so most likely, your accent is going to be the first syllable, not the second syllable. If it's a Latin root, it's going to most likely be the second syllable. And so you have to be really careful when it is a multi-syllable word. Look, consonant, vowel, consonant, but we're not doubling it. Are we doubling it right here? No, it's because the accent's there. We're not doubling it. We're not doubling it when we put it on. This is a nonsense word. We are not doubling it when it goes on because this is the accent, accent, accent. Do your Greek combining forms. Study your Latin roots. And we'll see you in the next lesson. Bye, everybody.